the Genre of Your Life podcast, a show all about movies, TV, and why we love entertainment. Episode number 28. We are almost at 30. I am one of your hosts, Doug Jones. With me, as always, are my three best co-hosts and three of my closest friends. Starting with Mr. Nick Johnson. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing good, my friend. Happy to see my boys. Happy to be on the show with you guys, man. Another day, another dollar, right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Next with us, as always, straight from Chicago, is Mr. Joel Kindlin. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Had a eventful day. I'm good though.
Yes, sir. Back on the job, working. Hopefully, soon to be working again. Would love to hear that.
Facts, same.
Getting another paycheck, working 9 to 5, like the most of us. The good old 9 to 5.
For now.
For now.
You never know what happens in the future. Maybe I'll be homeless. Maybe I'll be rich. We'll see.
Or in between, just getting on by like most of us.
Still working the 9 to 5.
A regular ass dude.
All right, let's do it, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Ain't nothing wrong with
Chicagoan hating everything on the loop.
True. That too. Last but not least, he's back, ladies and gentlemen, straight out of LA himself, is the one, the only, Mr. Moses Lai. Welcome back, sir. We missed you.
Hey, it's great to be here. I'm always happy to basically, jump in on the show, whenever I can. So, I'm looking forward to it, and glad to see everybody, and I'm ready to go.
Hell yeah, man! I'm glad you're back, and we're glad you all are here too. I know, right? Not bad, right? I'm working on my little host. I'm working on my little intros to everyone.
I heard John Cena music start playing when you. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god!
I listened to maybe 8 different podcasts last week of like different people's shows, trying to get like a feel for things. I'm just like, okay, how do people how do they structure certain things? I was listening to Nick's podcast too, and all the people's 2 podcasts. I like seeing how people get introduced differently, or how do you start the show. And it was like kind of catching up. Like one show I listened to called Real Blend. They're all critics on different outlets. Like one's like tour, like one's in Chicago, one's in Washington, the other one's in North Carolina. They all do kind of the same thing. Like, oh, we're so-and-so from this outlet, stuff like that. So it was just kind of just like learning that. Or a guy named Films at Home does kind of a bunch of like at home like film video, home video stuff. He always introduces his guests as like home video enthusiasts / what they do for work. It was kind of like learning to like, okay, how do you introduce this? It's kind of like the having your own podcast, or even Femi, our buddy Femi has a podcast, and he kind of like does like hey, what's going on, everybody? He's very kind of just like very MTV Cribs like. He's very kind of like, bring it all in. Like, hey, well, I'm glad you joined us, man. Very like your very serenade voice, and I call him the other day actually, talk about that, like how he's good, very serenade kind of voice. So, I know NPR, but it's a work in progress, right? As always, guys.
Hell yeah.
You all are here to our devoted and lovely audience. Welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time. Welcome to the show. As always, you can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast platform of choice. And we have a full audio show on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. Whether on YouTube or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast needs from, hit that follow button, hit that like button, leave a review, leave a rating. Helps us out so much. The growth we had this summer was been remarkable. I want to thank all these boys on the show with me. They've been amazing co-hosts, but also thank you all. We've had almost a year come this fall. We've been doing the show, and the growth and love we felt from all you guys, and the ongoing love and support, it really means a lot to us. And hitting that 10K we got in August was really remarkable. Again, the hard work that all these boys put in, that we all put in together, really kind of shows. But thank you for enjoying the show. Hope you're liking it more. Hope you're still liking it. Hope you're still tuning in every week. Again, we have a weekly show every week. Again, if you're enjoying it, hit that follow, leave a review, leave a rating. Helps us out so much, guys. As always, guys, thank you so much for your ongoing support. Yeah, guys, it's so weird. Like it's like. When like me and Nick went to that Stray screening, it's like we're sitting with the press, sitting with the critics, and sitting with me and other people, obviously. And then I went to some like random, like I think Ninja Turtle screening a few weeks ago, a few months ago, for through work, whatever. And I was writing my little notebook, my critic thoughts, right? And then some guy walked down next to me. He goes, Rotten Tomatoes. And I was like, shit, I wish we were Rotten Tomatoes, man. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. But it's just funny. Like you'll see like people like, and I'm noticing not more people have like little notebooks, but see you can't really write stuff though like, in a dark room. Like it's like all like gibberish, all kind of like scribble scrabble. So
Yeah,
I kind of wait
it's
till
tough
the
to like
end.
take notes and pay attention to the movie too.
Oh, exactly. Like at the Oppenheimer screening I went to, the guy was like taking like furl notes. All I heard was every few minutes, whoosh, whoosh, page turn, whoosh, page turn,
God
whoosh, page
damn.
turn. I'm like, Jesus, bro, this is a fucking exam. Like, chill. Like, it was, man. Okay, okay. He says,
Critiquing every little
yeah,
thing. Huh?
dude. He like, all I heard was it was one of those big notepads too. He was like, okay, atomic bomb. Okay, the 20-minute mark. I'm like, bro. I'm like,
Jesus
Jesus,
Christ! Yeah,
like.
stopwatch with two shit.
He
God
might
damn.
have. He was taking like thorough notes. I was
Jeez.
like, God damn. But I know it's fun. It's the fun of doing it all. But yeah, I like to wait till the end of end of the movie. You're on my phone too, or we do our out of theater reactions with Nick and I, or we'll just do it. I'll do it like on my notepad. But like during the movie, I just can't do it because it's too dark. You're just like, what am I even writing at this point? It's all like a foreign language, like my own language I made up because it's like I meant to say Equalizer. And that kind of says like chicken nuggets. You're just like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense at all. So it's just like, you gotta wait to the end of the show and then the movie. But again, I digress. But speaking of which, and movies and TV, obviously, Moses, as always, you're in LA, you're closer to the action than we are. I think we're now 4 months going into writer strike and about 2 months going into the actors. Again, you're closer to the action than any of us. What have you heard? Anything? Any updates going on? Any progress? What have you heard from people that you've been working with? Is there anything that to note, or is it same old, same old?
I mean, it's it's kind of same old, but people are getting a little tired
Yeah,
and everything. And that's it is what it is, right? It's natural. It's like whenever you don't have something that you really really want, but um, that somebody else is basically blocking that, for you to basically get it and everything, you start to get annoyed a little bit, over time. So that's what's happening now and everything like that. People are starting to basically feel the weight when it comes down to not just, it's not just the writers and, the actors and everything like that. It's also the producers,
yeah.
yeah. So, you start to feel that weight. So, I hope, by November, maybe even October, because I'm, hopeful about that. We'll have something, but November is where it's looking right now and everything like that. But yeah, you have, I think David Zaslav and everything like that, the CEO of, Warner Discovery and everything. He basically mentioned that he's going to lose, a lot of money, from the strike. Maybe these might be the wrong numbers or whatever, but over 500, 500 mil or whatever, at the ballpark. That might be the wrong number or whatever. Correct me if I am. But yeah, you're starting to feel the weight, and everything. And yeah, you're starting to, I hear, little articles here and there about, little chatter about how, writers are, having to take out loans to basically pay off their rent, things like that. And, how actors are basically doing the same thing here and there. So, you have that pull that is happening now and everything. And it's, it's stressing a lot of people out. So, but yeah, in time, I'm pretty sure, we'll the writers and actors will definitely come down to, making a deal that is good, that is great, and a deal that they want, and yeah. So
I think that I was reading something the other day, an article, I forgot where, I think it was New York Times or something like that, where they were saying that the main thing that I think people are kind of like really upset about is, which you put in perspective, it's like, oh, yeah, it kind of makes sense, was that, you know, last strike, again, this was, I don't know, like 10, 13 years ago. Yeah, no, like, I want to say 16 years ago, 2007, 2008. So way more than that. Was that, back then it was different time. There was cable network, cable television, and premium television like HBO, Showtime, Star, stuff like that. And you had obviously the movie theater. You had going to the movies, going to see it in theaters. Obviously now, things have definitely changed drastically since then, with every streaming service now, like everyone has a streaming service, like literally everyone. Like, you know, I'm surprised Redbox has a streaming service at this point. Like everyone, their mom has a streaming service. And, it's what I was reading was that another writer I was hearing, he's part of the guild, he was saying this too. He was saying that what's pissing them off, I think pissing the like guilds off is that the main two, again, quote unquote culprits, whatever I want to say, or not culprits, but like, not that holding out, or just the thing is like Silicon Valley has a big hold now on entertainment, whether it's Apple, Amazon. But again, if you look at that, Apple and Amazon have other needs necessary. Apple's a technology company; they sell iPhones, devices, computers, everything else. Amazon is a conglomerate. Amazon has everything. Amazon Prime is the biggest thing ever, with delivery services, and they have partnering with Whole Foods, stuff like that. So they're not hurting as much because again, they have other means necessary to a source of income. Like I said, what it's mentioned, Apple and iPhones and technology, Amazon Prime and Amazon Prime, everything. So the writer was saying too. He was saying that he goes Silicon Valley has had a huge impact on entertainment. And it's like, yeah, definitely. But again, I do think the first big streaming service obviously was Netflix, and that kind of like, paved the way. But I think Prime also got involved. I think Prime also got, kind of wind of that as well when they kind of like launched Amazon Prime Video, Amazon Original, stuff like that. But I think what I was reading is that a lot of like maybe not anger, I would say maybe the frustration has now shifted towards these other companies, not so much. They're mad at like, again, they're still having debates with Warner Brothers and Paramount and Sony and list goes on Universal, everything. But it seems like a lot of the focus has shifted to the Silicon Valley companies, Apple and Amazon. But I've been before the strikes, I was saying that I kind of give props to Apple and Amazon because Apple is doing something smart with their movies. Apple is partnering with a studio for their new movies like Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, list goes on and on. And then Amazon has, after they acquired MGM, that's the thing too. I'll get back to that in a little bit. But I was saying, my thing was that Amazon, was gave Air a full-on theatrical release, which okay, cool, it's awesome. That's what you should do because those returns can go to your artists, can go to your your people that you're getting, actors, writers, everything. But again, it's streaming has now become a thing. It's just like, okay, we'll throw money at it. Let's make this $200 million show. Where's the return? But again, we went into all the other shows of the podcast this summer. It's going circle, but it just seems like a lot of it has shifted to what is Silicon Valley doing for the entertainment? How is it affecting us, the writers and actors? I'm like, oh, he made a good point because again, it's two different worlds combining. But again, it's kind of how it's going. And the reason I brought this up, I'm going to ask all you boys this too, is that there's a rumor, and I'm seeing this more and more and more. And the reason I bring this up too, because again, 6 years ago, same thing. There was rumors, Disney's buying Fox. And I was like, no way. And I think all of us were like, yeah, probably not going to happen. It's too big of a sale. There's no way the government's going to allow that purchase. We'll see. A year later, Disney bought Fox. And I was like, even I think I was with you and Nick, actually, Moses, and we were like, it's not really good. They'll own X-Men and Fantastic Four, but they're going to own a lot of stuff that we're not really pros on. So the rumor is going Disney and Bob Iger, they're now back as CEO, is in a way prepping Disney to be sold and bought by Apple. This to me, Nick, okay, your thoughts first. And I think I had comments about this about Disney and Fox, obviously, multiple times, but I don't think that's the best decision because
like I don't get like why.
It could.
What's the point of that? What's the purpose for that?
Because Apple really has a lot of stock. Obviously, Apple is one of the biggest companies. Go ahead, Moses.
No, I was gonna say because I don't. I'm not exactly too sure what Bob Iger's plan and everything. I read the article too as well and everything.
Yeah.
But like it's money talks, and when it talks, it does whatever you want it to do and everything, and that's what Bob Iger wants it to wants to do, is to make make money. And also with Apple, what they want, well, they want a library of everything,
Yes,
and
totally,
they
yes.
can, they can do that. Apple can literally snap their fingers like Thanos and be like, all right, Disney is ours now, or snap their fingers like Thanos and literally buy every single studios in LA if they wanted to, because all at the same time, because they are $1 trillion company, and they're the biggest company in the world, and they can do that, and with that, they basically have a library of stuff that they want, in terms of like owning things and everything like that. But another note, I don't really know so much, but I do know is that they can do that, and if they wanted to, they would. That's why I'm hearing this rumor about Bob Iger preparing for that, and that might be true. I don't know. We never know. But yeah, go ahead, Doug.
No, absolutely. It's the right. You make. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
I was gonna agree with Moses. I think that as a business stance, that's smart because you're growing your industry, and it's not only, if you think about it, like Disney has its hand on everything, but when you look at like, when people think about Hulu, Fox, and all that, you also remember like shit, Disney owns that. So if Apple buys Disney, you're gonna remember, oh yeah, Apple owns Disney now, and now they'll be. And if you think about it, that's a great marketing scheme because then they can put iPhones in like MacBooks and shit like that in so many movies and shows owned by Disney on Hulu, Fox. It's honestly, it's a like with these big industries that have so much money, it's just another way to make a lot more money and to, advertise their stuff. And, instead of like the iCarly like Pear phone, it's gonna, like on Disney shows, it's gonna be like the iPhone, the MacBook. Their logo will be in it. Why? Because they can afford it. And guess what? It's a good, way to advertise, have little kids see it, and then, be like, oh, the newest modern day princess has an iPhone. I want an iPhone. Know how many little kids have iPads and iPhones? So they see their favorite character have one. That's a good way to make money,
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's free product placement for them and everything. You can have iPhones now in Star Wars. Like, wait a second, what? Like, I remember it's
I will stop watching Star Wars.
yeah. Like, wait a second, why does Darth Vader have an Apple Watch now? Wait a second. Or yeah, why does Chewbacca
A
like
lightsaber, a lightsaber turns into an iPhone turns into a lightsaber and shit. Just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I
And guess
forgot
what?
my lightsaber.
Battery's drained instantly.
Exactly.
Well, here's what things, and I think this is what I've been saying. I've been saying this for multiple years with everything with you guys too. Is that what really pissed me off about the whole Disney buying Fox thing? Besides the point of how they kind of just like, we can't put out mature content because it hurt our brand. Then why the fuck did you buy a studio in the first place? But again, I digress from that too. The thing what pisses me off is that you have now really herded so many good stories that you go, we'll just put it on Hulu. And I'm like, that sucks, man. Because there's a lot of things. Again, there's like, so I see all the time on Hulu coming soon. Like, I see coming soon, 20th Century Studios. I'm like, okay, it's Disney. Where are we going with this? And at the end, coming soon to Hulu. And I'm like, y'all put out so many movies on Hulu. What the hell? Like, you bought Hulu, but then literally every other quote unquote original movie that you make under the 20th Century Studios, formerly 20th Century Fox banner, straight to Hulu. And I'm really surprised that there's some movies that kind of squeak on by, like Barbarian's one of them, The Menu's one of them. Taika Waititi's next movie is gonna be also coming out in theaters in November, and I'm like, again, go on and on. Prey. I'm thinking I was not okay. Again, I can go on and on about these movies because they also own Searchlight, which was the independent studio of Fox. I just don't understand. Like you really again you're kind of then diluting. You're like, oh, like let's put on Hulu because yeah, you don't believe in it, and it's just like, man, like these are studio made movies going straight to VOD on Hulu. And yeah, you have Hulu for, like you said, Moses, the library that came with it, whether it was, the Wu-Tang show, and go on, yeah, the Kardashian show, on and on and on and on. There's so much shows that came with Hulu when they acquired it, obviously. But now it's just like, oh, we have an original idea, straight to Hulu. And it's like you're not giving these things a chance. And I would hope if Apple were to do that, I would want Apple to separate everything together. You can have Hulu originals. I'm not saying you can't, but if you're making a studio movie, like a 20th Century Studios movie presents, and it goes at the end, it says streaming on Hulu September 21st, whatever. It's like, why bother then? Because you have all these great movies that I think that would be love to be seen by, you know. I think we're still kind of the rut now of like post, like, Marvel and DC are still there, but we're still kind of like we're seeing the effects of like people are slowly checking out more and more until they have another big, Endgame or No Way Home or Black Panther. I really do want to see, again, if this Apple thing does happen, if it happens, a big if it happens, my hope would be, okay, you have all this stuff now. You have everything that Disney owned, everything that Fox owned originally. It's kind of, again, 1, 2, 3. I would hope that Apple would really care about theatrical. If you're gonna invest the way you're investing right now in your movies coming up next year, the year after, stop making these studio movies. Stop making these movies go straight to Hulu because that means you don't believe in it. And I think, again, also think too, a lot of these straight to Hulu movies are rated R or dark PG-13, and it's like Disney goes, now Hulu, it's fine. But then it kind of gets lost in the sauce because I feel like when Fox was still Fox, they would put out PG-13 movies, rated R movies. We were still, again, El Royale is a perfect example. I hate saying this, but it breaks my heart. That movie flopped. We saw the movie, we loved it. The movie flopped hard, unfortunately. But that was being made today. 100% Disney go, we're putting on Hulu, and that sucks because that was a cool experience I had with you Moses, you Nick, and Malone. It was like, well, it was tense. Like, what's going to happen? What is this? Like, what's going on? That to me, I wouldn't want to be robbed by that experience. Of like, wow, it'd be cool to see it again. I'm not even IMAX or Dolby, see it in an actual theater. So my hope would be if Apple were to buy Disney and all its assets, that I would hope that Apple would definitely go back to, hey, we're gonna put out $10 million, $20 million, lower budget original movies back in theaters, not be like, fuck, we can put on Hulu. It is what it is. You'll see it on there. It's like you don't believe in your brand then. You don't believe in your product. And my thing is that, like, then why'd you buy a studio that had lots to offer? Because you don't want. Also, I don't think you want one company owning everything. Because A, there's no competition, and that's bad for the entertainment industry that we're all in. And also B, it's like you gotta support original ideas and stuff like that. And if you want to like be good with the theaters, you gotta start releasing more stuff in the theaters and not just straight to Hulu. Because again, you gotta believe in what you bought. If you don't believe in what you bought, again, why the hell did you buy it? Like, you have buyer's remorse. You're just like, it is what it is. It's like, come on now. But again, that's kind of me on my soapbox. But it's a point I had recently. I'm like, if they're gonna buy Disney, if it happens, just go back, separate Fox from Disney, make it its own thing. Believe in it. I want to see original stories again that Fox was putting out in theaters, then straight to Hulu. Because again, it just dilutes like the theatrical experience of it all. But again, sorry for my little rant, but that's the show. That's the show. But we'll see. I mean, Nick, Nick, you and I obviously talked about this previously too, is that, we want to see, I think you and I were still kind of like, all of us, I think for the most part, like still kind of like, what's going to happen next with James Gunn or Marvel, whatever. Do you want to see more original stuff in theaters, or are you kind of like, I'm cool with it on streaming for the most part?
No, I want to see more original stuff in theaters because, like, I don't have a problem with streaming itself, but I feel like, I kind of feel like I would rather go to the movies than stream something at home, because going to the movies, man, like, it's like a whole experience, and to have that grand experience and to see something original, something that it's like, oh wow, that was like really interesting, or like really funny, or like really scary, or whatever the case may be. Like, it just kind of makes the whole thing like that much better. Like, streaming is cool, it's more comfortable, but like, I just like the vibe of the movies, you know what I mean? And I'm all about originality.
Yeah. And that's I'm really glad that we saw Strays in theater, despite no one being in that theater but us.
Yeah.
At the press screening, but like, it was just fun being in the theater, like like you and I cracking, laughing, making jokes, whatever, like laughing at it, like that's again. The topic is how Universal kind of is like cutting their legs off their movies for after 2 weeks putting on VOD. It's a different episode, but no, it kind of worries me when the creator's coming out in a few weeks. This big epic sci-fi movie that again no one can promote it except for the director, but I'm telling you, if that movie flops, which I think it might, unfortunately, I'm hoping it's good too. I'm hoping it's really good. I love J.W. Washington. I love original sci-fi. I love original storytelling. But if that movie flops, best believe Disney's going to be like, "Oh, we tried. Back to Hulu. Back to everything on Hulu again." It's like, man, just give it a fucking chance.
Oh yeah,
Like,
it's so sorry, Doug. I don't mean.
no, go ahead. No, please go ahead. By all
No,
means.
no. I was gonna say. I mean that was that sci-fi. When I watched the trailer and everything like that, I was like, man, that is a good original sci-fi movie that I have not, like seen,
Exactly.
and everything.
Exactly.
And I hope people just go and watch that movie. And it's gonna be hard for them to make money because of this strike.
Mm-hmm.
If they if they thought about it, like they could have pushed it back probably a little bit more, maybe. I don't know. Like they could have pushed it to like even November,
True. True.
and everything because no movies are out that month now except the Marvels,
Marvels.
you
Yep.
know. So it's like, and when you go watch the Marvels and you know, when you would basically go watch the Marvels in November and everything like that, and also you have the creator, if let's say it's also out in November, you will have, you will see that the Marvel is playing. You will go watch that, and then also realize, wait a minute, there's also this other movie that's playing, theaters called The Creator. I'm going to go check that out too as well. Because you're grabbing some hype from
Mm-hmm.
from the Marvels and everything like that, and seeing that there's a movie that's also playing, right next door. Like maybe the next day or something like that, and you might want to go watch it. But I don't know. So I hope that they go and see it, and I hope that they don't just throw it off to Hulu and everything because it's not, because it's like for me, man, like as much as I love streaming, you know, um, I want to watch a movie less on streaming than on theaters. If
Mm-hmm.
somebody, if let's say Hulu or Warner Brothers decide to put out a movie, but it's going to be straight on Max instead, like if I'm be real, I'm not gonna probably watch that movie until like 3 weeks later, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, because it's like I feel like there's no like as much as I think it might have value to the creators that made the film and everything like that. It's like it sounds and it feels more valuable if it's out in the theater. That's to me. That's the
True.
theater is everything to me. It just sounds and feels more valuable, because it's like you put it out there in the theater and somebody put the director, writer, actors put their heart and soul into this thing, and you're gonna go watch it and you're gonna go see what they created. If you put it out to streaming, it's like, well, you're gonna feel like, well, the studios really wanted this, and so they got the writer, director, and everything like that to go do it. But
Mm-hmm.
for a movie that's out in theaters, it's like, no, we had this person who's very passionate about the production design, who's very passionate about the direction of this movie, blah 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 blah, the writer, so on and so forth. We're gonna make sure that it's out in theater. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like a theater to me screams out passion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like passion,
Mm-hmm.
passion, passion, hard work. It's like inspiration. And in streaming, it's like, well, we just wanted to have another, film in our library, so we went to streaming. That's what it sounds like to me. As much as I, appreciate every single movie out there in the world. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so.
Absolutely. No, you said it's spot on, Moses. You said it shows passion, and then I think too is that you believe in your product too. You believe in you believe in like these movies, and again, I think again, despite the HBO Max day and day thing happened during COVID, I understand to a degree, but also when we got out of COVID, they should have been like, just kidding, we're putting the rest of the movies out on theaters only now. That is what it is. But I mean, yeah, you said it's believing in it, and I really, and again, man, for example, this is that when Barbarian came out literally a year ago this weekend, I was like, man, because the marketing of the movie was weird because Disney wasn't marketing as well, and I was like, interesting, why? And I saw that a poster for it randomly at Westgate in Glendale, and I was like, oh, what is that? Watch one trailer, but like, cool, I'm sold. They didn't show me much. Great, awesome. It came out during a weekend like this. There was nothing else coming out. It did well because it was a low budget movie, and it made its budget back. And Disney goes, oh, it flopped. It is what it is. It's like, well, no, because you didn't. You refused to market it like any other of your other movies. You wouldn't if this was another Pixar movie, you would have marketed the hell out of this. So you would have believed in it. If you put it on theaters, you should have believed in this movie and believed in what you were. Then, because why'd you buy it then? If you bought it from another company, why'd you buy it? Like, simple as that. Like, if you didn't believe in it. So to me, just like, I'm hoping with the creator that, because again, I've been seeing on like TikToks and Instagram or even on YouTube, whatever, they are marketing the hell out of this movie, as they should, because you don't have John David Washington out there on Jimmy Fallon or Kimmel or whatever promoting this movie or in doing press, because he can't. So they really are promoting this movie very, very hard on every platform they have, because they have to, because they have, this is the only choice. Again, if this movie does well, I'll be so happy. If it doesn't do well, I really hope Disney takes a step back and say, you know what, this movie could have done better if we had our main star promoting this movie, doing the red carpet, doing the press junkets, instead of being like, oh, it flopped. It is what it is. No more stuff like this anymore. It's like, you gotta lay out all the options. You gotta lay out all the options and be like, okay, here's what happened. This and that. Okay, we shouldn't like be so reactionary. And I think me and
Yeah.
Nick says last weekend too. Don't be so reactionary to things, because that's very trendy for a lot of studios to do. Like, oh wait, Deadpool worked. Let's do the same thing with Deadpool. Or Guardians of the Galaxy worked. Let's do Guardians of the Galaxy our own version of it. It's like, no, don't be reactionary. You gotta believe in what you have, believe in your product, believe in your brand, and just really just kind of like, hey, well, we did this. This is our thing. It didn't work. It didn't work. Don't be like, oh, see, this is it. We're done. We're done here. And I do kind of miss the era of like maybe COVID, when studios were taking risks because they want to take risks. They want to take risks. We're put this out there. Again, I think A24 is a big example of that. They take risks, and it's a payoff. And I do think you said this a few episodes ago too, Mel. You said the budgets need to be cut or scaled back a little bit, so you can put out more movies like this and get an audience in. And like you said too, if it came out during the Marvels, same month as the Marvels, you would have got people going, oh, that looks pretty cool, or show a quick teaser before the Marvels, like coming soon, the creator or whatever. Oh,
Yeah.
give me I'll come back for that. You said it's spot on, my friend. It's you
Yeah.
gotta really market that with other stuff. But if you don't market that, you're telling me, why should I go this? Because you're the company that made this movie. You don't believe it in yourself. So it's like, I'll
Yeah.
wait for it on Netflix. And it's like, or Disney
Yeah.
Plus or Hulu. It's like, come on, man.
No,
Damn shame.
I definitely agree with you and everything like that. Like, I saw, in terms of comparison, like, I think the creator is over, like, in terms of the budget and everything like that, is over like maybe like 90 mil or whatever.
Let me see.
I don't know. Let me, but and then we got the Marvels and everything like that. Their budget is probably like over like
200.
like 200, right? And you kind of look at that budget and realize, man, we can, and they still look like like the creator looks like completely great still with that kind of budget. It looks
80
amazing.
mil. 80
You know
mil.
what I mean? 80
80
mil.
mil.
You know what I mean? And the creator still looks amazing. It's gorgeous. And you know what's funny? That movie was shot on a Sony FX3. It's like those like DSLR cameras
Oh yeah.
and everything. That's what it was shot on. The creator.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they had a cinematographer for I think you guys know the Batman and everything like that.
Yeah, Greg Fraser.
Yeah, the cinematographer shot the creator and everything. So it's like, if you can do the creator for 800 mil, for 80 mil, you can do the Marvel for 80 mil. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And put your money where your mouth is and everything like that. Make the film and go on from there. If the actor wants a lot of money or whatever, well, not everybody's going to be happy, and move on from there. But yeah, man, just make new stuff. Just make things that are new and everything like that. Like, you know,
Mhm.
we're we're all gonna be happy. As much as you think you're not gonna make any money.
Again, look
Yeah.
at both of you. You look at both of you boys, Nick and Moses. You guys have made two amazing short films that, if you want to watch it to our listeners, you can go to our link tree. Both amazing short films are under our link tree. I would highly these two are just amazing films, and both of you guys made for really low budget movies that look way better than some shit I've seen the past couple of months. Like
Thank you,
I
bro.
mean,
Thank you.
I mean from my bottom of my heart. Like, you guys have both made stuff that look fantastic, truly fantastic. Dude, Moses, I'm seeing the stills of your next film. I can't wait. I'm just like, wow, this looks better than half the shit I see on TV.
Mm.
Like, I mean, again, it looks better than The Flash. The Flash had
Damn.
so much budget movie, man. But I'm thinking again, I'm praising these guys a lot because, again, you guys had low budgets, and you guys were able to focus more on the story and the emotion, and what you were trying to say. Where I really hope that after these strikes, these studios and companies will go back to that. You know what? We're gonna hire creators because they can tell a good story for, I don't care if it's $5 budget, $100 million budget, 50 mil, 20 mil, 10 mil, a sandwich. It's maybe more than a sandwich, but maybe two. But I would hope I would hope that there's a lesson to be learned from this, is that stop making these budgets ballooned up. Stop
Hmm.
spending so much money on marketing when you can spend that money on paying your creators. If you ask me, instead of spending all this money on certain stuff, you should invest that marketing money into your creators, into your vision, so they can keep making movies like this that people will go out and see. So I really do think that, if again, it's trusting your creators, trusting your vision, trusting, hey, this can be made for a low budget, this can be doing that, and I think you will see a lot of more returns. Again, I think you'll see a lot more returns if you really believe. If you believe, again, if you build it, they will come. The quote, Field of Dreams. If you believe in what you're selling to an audience, to a mass audience, they will come. If you don't believe it, people will see that. I.e., the last few DC movies, they don't believe in that shit, and guess what? No one went out and saw them. They all flopped
Hmm.
miserably. So believe
Hmm.
in what you do. Trust your creators. Again, good things will happen. I truly mean that. And again, I think I really hope we're gonna see more good storytelling, not just on streaming, but on the big screen. Because again, it's how people get discovered. It's how Tarantino got discovered. Ryan Coogler got discovered. List goes on and on. There's so many great things get discovered. But again, that's my hope for the world. I know that's my hope for the next few months. But
Yeah.
again, trying to be optimistic, in a dark times, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
True.
But
True.
hey,
True.
I'm always optimistic about everything that has to do with, like, the films and the studios and all that stuff.
yeah.
And yeah, yeah, yeah.
I hope so, man. All right, but anyway, so before we get into our next topic, I want to do my quick review of Equalizer 3,
Oh,
non-spoiler, of course.
you too. When
Hell
if
yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, you saw it too?
yeah,
My friend, you are back in the show. You go first, my friend. I
what?
insist.
No
I
spoilers,
insist.
Moses.
No
No
spoilers. No
spoilers. I know
spoilers.
how you
Moses, my
be.
friend, the floor is yours.
No, I mean, no spoilers. I'm gonna be very, very quick. That movie it's best out of the previous two. This third, it's good, man.
Oh
Like,
damn.
Denzel Washington. This guy. He's like, I was sitting down and watching some of the scenes and everything like that. Like, in particular, I was sitting down, and the way he just, like, his performance, man, the way he just, like, acts. It's like the camera's not even there. It's
I
like he's
know.
doing this
Mm.
shit like right there in real time. You know, some of the things that he does and everything like that. Some of the reactions that he gives is very subtle, but it's like you're not really, like, it's not like the DP press record and started rolling and everything like that, and had then just start acting. It's like
Mhm.
he's there. The action was great. It was it was very, like, suspenseful too as well. Like, it had your heart racing. It had my heart racing a few times. And everything, but it was a great movie, man. It was a great movie. It was great. Yeah, that's probably one of my top, like, top, I don't know, like at least like top six, top eight or something. Like, that's a very odd number, but it's my
It's a little unique for sure, but it's a solid number nonetheless.
It works.
top five. It's definitely my top five right now this year.
It's my top like 2.5, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
2.5.
I'm playing.
Had a good time.
Good. Yeah, dude. I felt the same way. Okay, I don't think I'm up there with you in a lot of ways. I don't think it's the best. I think number one is still my favorite. 'Cause I remember seeing that in high school with Joe and our other friend at the time, and I was like, "Fuck," because it was like also Denzel's one of my favorite actors of all time, as he's allowed for a lot of other people. But it was kind of like, oh shit, this is a slow burn. But like the action really, 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 really kind of just like takes hold of you. I think I felt that way with this one, as well as the first one as well. I thought this one was a huge improvement over the second one. I remember seeing two, and I was like, "Oh, it was cool." I was like, I love that first one so much. I was a big Antoine Fuqua fan, and I was just like, "Yeah, it's cool." But I thought Pedro Pascal was kind of miscast in that last role. I think it would have been cool to I did like the whole story between him and the actor from Moonlight. 'Cause that part was very interesting to me. Like, they're kind of like their bond, a little bit of a mentor to him, trying to like get him out of the hood and the trap, stuff like that. I wish I focused more on that as the entire story. That to me like more like a father son kind of story. I would have been like, ooh, I'm into that. I think I got a bit convoluted with like more of like the espionage and then betrayal, this and that. So I was kind of like, all right, whatever. Love the first one still. This one, I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to it. This is the last one. It's the trilogy. It's Antoine Fuqua's trilogy. This is Denzel's trilogy. I was hearing good things about it. Same way, Moses, man. I walked in. I was like, the first scene, I was like, God damn. Like, there's something happens. And I was like, oh my Lord. Because it also, I think they turned out the brutal violence a lot more than this one, the last one, the first one. Because there's some shit that Denzel's doing. I was like, dear, this is a fucking massacre. I was like, Jesus. But it was so effective. I was like, Denzel was like a fucking, what he was, op, whatever, secret op, he's a ghost, whatever. He's the fucking boogeyman in this movie because the way he was taking out people, I was like, oh my God. And Antoine Fuqua has a good job. I think him and his stunt team really do a good job of kind of capturing that, like, yeah, you cross this man, you're done. Like, you are done. You don't have a fucking chance. And it's, I love John Wick so much, one of my favorite action franchises of all time. Love a good, like, The Raid, Redemption. I love, thanks to Joe. I love, stuff like Liam Neeson's older movies too. But think about it, I think this movie too, it works so effective is that the way that it's a slow burn, it's not action. It's a slow burn. But when the action does happen, it's really effective because it takes, like I said, my heart was pounding too sometimes. I was like, Jesus, when it happens, it's effective. And the way they use the score to like, dun, dun, at their certain thing, you're just like, whoa, like, holy shit. But yeah, I was just like, this is brutal. Like, again, I was all for that. I was like, this is brutal and I'm loving it. I will say though, there was times where I thought the villain was kind of overacting too. I mean, the pitch of the movie basically Denzel versus the mafia. Like, come on, sold right there. Like that would sell anybody if you ask me. Like, day one we're there. I thought the villain was sometimes kind of overacting. I was like, okay, again, the villain wasn't as good as the first one. Definitely better than the second one, but I like the story enough of Denzel kind of being abroad. He's taking his life abroad. How's he adapting to that lifestyle, stuff like that. I love the whole Man on Fire reunion, Nick, between him and Denzel and Dakota Fanning.
Yeah.
If you're a Man on Fire fan, it's a nice reunion between Dakota Fanning and Denzel in this movie. It's very earned. It's very rewarding.
That's my movie right there.
It's very rewarding to that, but. And for our next segment too, before I wrap this up, is I think Antoine Fuqua and Denzel are just made for each other as actor directors. Whether it's Fitz, whether it's Training Day, whether it's Max 7, like they know each other so well. And like you said too, Moses, the camera they're rolling, it's just like Denzel is just so natural in this role, like his ability to like kind of just like portray everybody. He's a very good playing at the everyday guy, whether it was this, whether it's Flight, Man on Fire. two guns, training, everything. He can transform, and you believe every time he's playing someone differently. Or in this case, he's playing Robert McCall the third time. But really, Antoine Fuqua really kind of just like he makes this a very character-driven movie, 100%. And the actions and consequences, who am I? What do I do? But because you root for him. Again, I love John Wick. I love a lot of good action movies, but they kind of feel like, oh, they're invincible. And to a degree, you kind of feel that way in this movie too, in this trilogy as well. But what Denzel does really good, as well as Antoine Fuqua, is that they make it a very human story too. Of like, he's just a very good dude, and if you cross him, he's the last person on the list to cross this man, because he will disembowel you. Like, he really will, like he will annihilate you. But like I said, I did have the problem with some of the villain, some of the kind of like the overacting in times with the villain, kind of the bad guy side. But what really sold me is that, again, it's a really underrated trilogy of action. The action feels earned. The action feels brutal, intense. Denzel is really giving his all in this role, even for a third movie. You can tell all the time the trilogy, they're kind of phoning it in, but I do think he's really giving his all, despite being his third time around playing this character. And like I said, I think Antoine Fuqua does a good job of kind of capturing who this character is, what he's capable of, as well as using good cinematography and good score. Oh, nothing too. This is very nerdy. It's very kind of like inside baseball for us, filmmakers and directors, writers, whatever. I was really glad they filmed on location, green screen, all in Italy. But damn, every 5 seconds there was a fucking aerial shot or establishing shot of Italy. Like, they'll be talking, shot of Italy, talking, shot of Italy. Again, I bet Italy's gorgeous. I've never been. I heard it's beautiful, lovely. But damn, there's like literally an establishing shot every 5 minutes. I'm like, we're in Italy. We're in Italy again. I was like, again, I love y'all for shooting on location, less green screen. I'm all for it. But y'all need to cut some of these aerial shots out, because it's so many shots of just like, okay, guess where we are? Guess where we are, guys? Italy. Did you forget? We're in Italy still. Oh, it's not happening. Crazy scene. Guess what? Still Italy. It's like, again, I want to go to Italy on my list for sure one day to visit, but damn, the script must have said every exterior Italy scene, exterior Italy shot. So again, that's nitpicking to a degree. I know I am, but yeah, I loved it. Again, not as good as the first one, better than the second one. I would give it definitely an 8.5 out of 10 for sure. I loved it. That's my top 10 of the year too, because I'm sucking for anything Denzel, anything Antoine Fuqua. But also look too, that movie, second best Labor Day box office too. You know why? Because people still love Denzel, and Denzel sells the box office. You can go to a movie, I want to see the new Denzel, people will still show up. He's one of the last few, I think him, maybe Leo, probably Will Smith too, are the last few that can like really sell, like maybe like, okay, the box office. Like maybe Margot Robbie now is one of those people too, but we're not in the same era anymore of like the movie star bringing people to the box office. But I think this box office proves how, despite a strike going on, despite him not promoting this movie at all, Antoine Fuqua, God bless him, was on every outlet: Fox TV, NBC, CNBC, Yahoo News, everything, MySpace Live, whatever, Google Hangouts. Like, he was literally on every platform to promote this movie. And good for him, man, because he's the only person that can promote this movie because of the strikes. But again, it was really cool to see that Denzel still has that pull years later to bring people to the box office. So again, hats off to both these gentlemen in the studio for believing in this trilogy, because to me it's very cool to see this still to this day. Alrighty, so speaking of directors, I want to go around the room and ask all you guys this. We're, again, as directors ourselves, writers ourselves too, we love a good director, we love a good writer director duo. But I feel like a lot of times too, we love a Christopher Nolan, we love a Ryan Coogler, we love a Jordan Peele, we love a lot of good Greta Gerwigs. But I think now is that those are becoming more mainstream, more kind of just like commercially celebrated directors. Tarantino, Scorsese. But what about people that can go under the radar? I think about this last week too, when we talked about our favorite Denzel and Fuqua movies. I was thinking, like, what? There's a lot of good filmmakers that we love to watch. They have great movies, for the most part, a great catalog, but they're not as talked about as much as other ones. So, Nick, I'm gonna start with you first. Who are some direct filmmakers that you just like love, and you kind of just like, wow, they deserve more attention or is more recognition for their work?
You know what? I'm gonna first off, Zack Snyder. I'm not even gonna lie, but secondly, I'm gonna say Josh Trank, the director of Chronicle.
Oh yeah.
because I feel like Chronicle was a really interesting movie to me, and it was really unique and creative. So like when he came on the scene, and it was like, oh, he's gonna direct the Fantastic Four movie, and like I was all excited for it because I was like, yeah, I want to see like his style in other movies and everything like that, because again, like it was just unique and different. But then it seemed like it was like some studio interference, and then it kind of just like ended up like fucking up his career. And now it doesn't seem like he's really doing much of anything these days. So it's
No.
like he kind of needs another chance, I feel like maybe. But also, yeah, Snyder. I feel like he kind of gets unnecessary hate. And like every time I watch Man of Steel and like Justice League and BVS, like I just don't see what the complaints are. You know what I mean? Because it's always
Oh, I hear
like
you.
you're always able to pick up like something different in the movie. Like every time you watch the movie, like you learn like a little bit more about the movie. Like it's always a slightly different experience. And like just starting with Man of Steel, like he's like, I'm gonna make a Superman movie like there's never been one before, and everything about it is still recognizable as like Superman mythology, but it's still done in a very unique and like fascinating way. And you can tell, like, even though they might not focus on something, like if you look at like an image in the background or whatever, like there's like everything there has like a story to it, and like it has like a history and a mythology and everything like that. And BVS was just a really cool kind of exploration into kind of like the politics of Superman existing, but it was still, cool because it was like Superman and Batman, and everything was just, creative. And Justice League, I feel like a Justice League is probably appreciated a lot more now since the just kind of because the 2017 one came out, and because like that one was garbage, and then after that we got the Zack Snyder one. That one just kind of, I don't know, like to me it was just a lot better. So yeah, those are my two.
So I'll ask you this question actually. I'll ask you two. If stepping outside of the DC cinematic universe that Snyder directed, what is your favorite non-DC movie he directed?
My favorite non-DC movie he directed. You know what? I'm gonna say Army of the Dead.
That's a good one.
That one, oh my, like I loved every second of it, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remember you and me and Hamza
And
seen that because
Hamza
we were
thought,
like,
yeah.
fuck seeing on Netflix. We're gonna watch this on the big screen, and I'm glad we did because again, that was a better experiencing that with you guys on the big screen than watching it at home on the TV. Again, it still would have been good regardless, but like that experience was cool seeing it with you
Yeah,
guys.
see,
Like,
again, it's the whole experience, man. That's
yes,
what I'm talking about. But no, like Army of the Dead, like that movie was fucking fantastic, man. Oh my god,
that's
like
good
I
pace.
love that movie.
For a 2.5 hour movie, it has a really good pace to it too. Like he has a really good pace to that movie where it's like I haven't seen it in one. I'll probably watch it because of spooky season, but it has a really good pace to that movie. Like the moment
Yeah,
it starts and it
it
keeps
doesn't
going.
even feel like 2.5 hours.
It flew by. It flew by, and I really do think it's really impressive what he did that movie because it's like it's a spectacle, but like again, it's really a filmmaker kind of going back to his roots of doing horror, after Dawn of the Dead and stuff like that. It was just cool seeing him kind of do like a spectacle of zombie with this kind of twist to it. That movie's dope. That movie's super underrated. Okay, also the question too: if you could see him direct any other genre, what would it be and why?
Hmm. Hmm. Damn, that's a good one. Because I kind of feel like I feel like he kind of only works in the genre that he's done. Like I definitely could not see Snyder doing a comedy movie or like a romance movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's a good question though. Like I don't know, maybe a historical drama would be kind of interesting.
I could see that. Or
If we were to do
I'd love
something
to
like that,
see.
that'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
I would love to see him do like honestly like a thriller. I mean, I was Army of the Dead and Shaun of the Dead was more definitely more
Uh-huh.
horror based, but like
Yeah.
more like a kind of like David Fincher kind of thriller kind of thing, like a big spectacle thriller. Um, or even a
Okay, like
war movie.
kind of like a Seven type movie, huh?
Yeah, like a Seven type movie, or kind of something like Gone Girl to agree, something like
Yeah.
Ray Fincher s, Ray Fincher or Zodiac,
Yeah.
something like that. Ray Fincher
Damn,
esque,
that would be dope.
Ray
Like
Fincher esque.
like if he was gonna do like a straight, like just a straight sci-fi movie, like I think it'd be interesting if he did like a Matrix movie.
Yeah, well, better than the last one probably. Um, something like that, like very big on spectacle and very like
Yeah.
like again, I was still like I think I was
Oh
like seeing him do a
shit.
war movie.
Can
What's
you
up?
imagine if like they're like if they were like, yo, let's do like another like hella expensive movie about like a Bible story and they get Snyder to direct that. Like the story of Samson, that would be dope.
Oh, not Mel Gibson.
Nah, I don't know. Just because
Too
like
soon, too soon.
it would be interesting to see like what Snyder would do with the story like that. But nothing against Mel Gibson because honestly,
He's crazy.
I think Passion of the Christ is a good movie. I think it's solid.
Fucking Mel Gibson's a fucking crazy person.
He's
But
pretty out there though. I ain't even gonna
Mexican
lie.
movies, he's crazy. Um,
Yeah.
please don't kill me, Mel Gibson. Um, I would really like to see him do like a war movie,
Hmm.
like a really cool war movie, a very something cool, like hey, like some like cool, like trying to think of like really cool, like I would think of like something like not like something like I think The King's Man has some really cool war scenes, like what Matthew Vaughn did. But I think
Hmm.
I would like to see really something cool, like a spectacle of what I mean. I guess you can count 300 a war movie to a degree,
Yeah.
but something
Damn.
kind of
Yeah.
like go ahead,
If you were to do like a remake of the Clash of the Titans movie,
yeah, something like that.
that'd be dope. Or like a Hercules movie, like an actually good live action Hercules movie, because the Dwayne Johnson one was kind of whack, and that Kellen Lutz one was definitely whack.
Bro, the Kellen Lutz one, bro. Oh,
That
bro,
was insane, man.
that we had two Hercules movies in the same year that were both kind of that were both ass.
Bro,
Oh man,
like the Kellen Lutz one, it looked kind of whack, and it was just kind of like surprisingly more whack than it looked. So it was like, okay, but it looked like it was gonna be ass anyway. The Dwayne Johnson one, like bro, the hype over this movie was insane. They were like he's bigger, he's better. Like they were like, yeah, man, I'm eating like 10 meals a day. Like it was like holy shit, like Dwayne Johnson's putting on like 100 more pounds of muscle for this movie, and like the fucking like set photos and just all of that shit. Like and like the trailers were dope, but the movie was just it was just so bland.
yeah, so yeah.
Like
Didn't Brett Ratner do that one?
yeah, Brett Ratner fucking
Uh,
directed it. And secondly, like why the fuck would you get Brett Ratner to direct a Dwayne Johnson Hercules movie? Dude, imagine a Dwayne Johnson Hercules movie, but it's directed by Snyder. That would be fucking insane.
would have been better.
It
Dude,
definitely would have been better. Brett
you was
Ratner? Are you shitting me?
yeah.
That's
No, dude.
terrible. That's
You
like
mean
getting Joss Whedon to direct a Justice League movie.
shots fired?
But
Shots fucking fired. Yeah, dude. That what did he do? What did Brett Ratner do like before that too? Let me see.
Rush
Before he
Hour.
did.
He did the Rush Hour movies.
You're right. No, no, no. And I'm saying, like, what was his project before, right? Before he did Hercules? Oh, he did fucking Tower Heist. I love Tower Heist, actually.
Oh, I forgot that was him.
Uh, damn it, damn it. But yeah, then he did that movie, and then he has not worked since because he got canceled, and rightfully so because homeboy's a, he's a creep. Homeboy was a creep. But
Hell yeah.
wait, what's funny about Hercules? Joel, I don't know the story too. When we started getting the more advanced screening passes, like when we were in high school, whatever. Like I mean, I told Joel, "What do you want to see? We're see this movie, whatever, blah blah blah." I'm like, "You want to see Hercules?" And Joel's his voice. Joel goes, "Fuck no." I don't remembers that, but like, I got tickets for us because we got IMAX. You want to see an IMAX? And Joel respectfully goes, "Fuck no, I don't want to see that." And I'm like, "All right, but fair enough." You remember that, Joe?
Yeah, I remember that because I saw the trailers and I was like, God, fuck that. And then like literally like a week later, some shit Doug came up to me and asked me. I was like, God, no. I was like, fuck no. I was like, no. I was like, dude, no. I was like, this is gonna be horrible.
Yeah, we were like, yeah, we're gonna sit this one out. Nah, definitely not. All right, Joe. Speaking of directors, who's some directors that you like a lot? You feel like aren't just like underappreciated or not given the same respect, in your opinion?
So while y'all were talking, I was looking up directors because I'm like, I'm not good with names nor remembering like who's who, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
So, I was like, there's a lot of movies that I love from my male celebrity crush Tom Hardy that I feel like the directors don't really do much anymore, or people really haven't watched those movies. So I looked into them, and I found two. The first one is going to be John Hillcoat. I like him. He's the one that did Lawless. Found out he also
Oh,
did Triple Nine and The Road.
Oh,
I know a
okay.
lot of people
oh,
don't remember The Road,
the
but
road.
Triple
That was a
Nine
good
wasn't
one.
really. It really
That was a
is.
really good one.
Um, so, I like his because it's not just like, all right, action, gun shooting everywhere. It's more like there's a surrealness to his films. He makes them human. Like shit, they got a lot of issues going on,
Hmm.
even while like they're doing a lot of crazy shit. They still got like life, like keep going, and so there's a surrealness to it. So I really like that type of film. You know. Um, and then Nicholas Winding
Refn?
Refn.
Oh, oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
The
I'm with that.
director
I'm with
for
that.
Drive, Only God Forgives Us,
Only God forgives.
oh yeah, Only God Forgives. And then one of my all-time favorite movies, Bronson,
Oh
fucking
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, so he does just such just such amazing movies, like writing wise, cinematography, and then you just gotta love like the way he did with like the lighting and just showing like the people and the pain in their faces, and just how in these movies he has his actors convey their emotions. And obviously we love Drive. That
Mhm.
movie's
Huge.
amazing, huge. So they're older now. I was it John Hillcoat is like 63, and Nicholas is he's 53. I think they're in they're they're in the 50s and 60s. So it's obvious why you don't really see them do movies too much now. But I also feel like some of these movies that me and you love, like they're not recognized. Like people might know about them, but they don't really watch them. So I decided to point them out and say, like, I really like their because they did such amazing movies. Even if it's not big list of movies, they do have ones that truly stand out.
Mhm. Oh, definitely. And I think to your point too is like there's difference between a household name director like a Christopher Nolan, like now like a Jordan Peele now, or Martin Scorsese or
Hmm.
Tarantino, like those two guys you just mentioned. Because again, if you ask any of our again, I do a thing with like people I talk to like either at work or outside of work. Like, do you know who this person is? Who? It's like, okay, my point exactly. Like, I was talking to someone like about David Ayer, and someone said who, and I was like, David Ayer. It says, is that BMX guy? I'm like, no, it's a filmmaker. That's a
My
filmmaker.
God.
And I was like, yep. Or someone else like, oh, David Ayer, is he like a was he an author? I'm like, no, he's a writer and director. And he's like, who? And I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. But like, but right. But if I said, oh, you know, who Martin Scorsese is, yeah, of course. You know, who Tarantino is, yeah, of course. Oh, do you know who this person is? Of course. I think Edgar Wright's is starting to become more of like a household name because I know my
Hmm.
dad knows about him. Obviously, I know people like, oh yeah, fucking like, oh, Shaun of the Dead, I love Edgar Wright. So it's just like the there's a litmus test of like you can ask certain people who are not like connected as the we are to the movies that other people are like, you know, this person is who. It's like okay, never mind. And then again, there's household name directors and there's people who are not appreciated or forgotten about sometimes. And it's kind of thing, you know, you could have been at top of your top. Like, got Josh Trank. Josh Trank was top of his game with Chronicle, and he
Hmm.
got fucked by the studio with Fantastic Four, and they made a movie called Capone that I heard was god awful. And it's like, damn, man, could have been a talent, man, could have been a talent, and then you kind of just like you were kind of a one hit wonder, unfortunately, and again, the business is cutthroat. You know, it will swallow you up and chew you out, swallow you up and throw you out because you know it's cutthroat sometimes, unfortunately, and that's the business. But I don't know, man. It's the game. And, you know, you gotta make your mark. And I feel like, again, the director jail ain't no joke. You make one bad stinker, you in director jail for a long time until you come out, like a Neil Blomkamp who did, you know, Chappie. His
Oh, damn.
first movie 8 years was Gran Turismo, and he did modestly well. But again, man, he was in director jail for 8 years and lost all his other
Yeah,
projects, like an
he
Alien
he was
movie.
on top for a little bit, man. Like District
Yep.
9, Elysium, when the chapter came
Back
out, it
to
was
back.
game over, bro.
It was
Yeah,
done.
facts.
It
And
was done.
Chappie received a lot more hate than it really should have,
Yeah.
honestly. Like I can understand if people aren't like, loving of it as much as I am, where it's just like, oh, it's such an amazing movie, but like I felt like it wasn't a bad movie at all. I felt like it was, it's worth a watch and an entertaining movie, where it's like, it's not really much towards like the movie itself with like the creativity, the idea of it and everything. So his such a how can I say this? Him taking such a big hit for his career over a movie that overall is just entertaining, I feel like that really sucks. It's unfair.
8 year jail, man. He had an 8 year director jail because of Chappie. And
That's a damn
again,
shame.
again, man, the audience, and again, the studios knows too. Obviously, you have one big stinker, they don't forget about that. Again, unless you're like a Scorsese or a Tarantino, someone's really established. But if you're an upcoming director and you make one stinker and you're kind of like your new career, they don't forget. They do not forget.
Yeah.
And that shows multiple times. You make one movie, you're just like, well, shit. But again, it's the biz. All right, Moses, my friend, director himself. Who are some filmmakers that you kind of like love and think are underrated, not appreciated in your opinion?
There's two directors and everything like that come to mind, a little bit. And of course, like I'm not exactly sure if Barry Jenkins is like a household name, now or whatever, but he did directed, two of my favorite movies and everything. And I mean, he's gonna direct, of course, The Lion King too, and everything, but I think I love his movies, it's very much like um like I don't know, his films are very like they tangle you,
Mhm.
and you care about their it's characters that he creates and everything like that very instantly, in his films. And yeah, I other than The Lion King, I'm excited to see what he has, next off his plate. I feel like after The Lion King, he might be considered, like a household name or whatever. I consider him like an amazing director, like an outstanding
He is.
director. Um, and yeah, yeah, it's but yeah, there's also what's his name? Corey Joji. He directed No Time to Die.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, dude, for sure.
but yeah, no, I think I want to see more of his films and everything like that. Because he also directed the movie whatchamacallit, Beast of No Nation and everything.
That's right. That was his movie. That's right. Yes.
Yeah, he also directed that too as well. And yeah, he was also the writer of it. But like mostly, like I want to see his movies more because of Beast of No Nation and also No Time to Die, because those are great films. And yeah, those are the only um filmmakers that I want to see. But yeah, you guys mentioned like filmmakers that are like kind of like like thrown out the window because of their bad film that they basically put out and everything like that. One person that comes to mind, it wasn't really a bad film, but she got bad reputation from other people that were talking stuff about like her stuff that she might have did on set. Maybe I don't really know, but Chloe Zhao, she did Nomadland and of course
Oh
Eternals.
yeah.
But I thought she was going to be like, close to like Greta Gerwig type, type in terms of like hype and everything like that. But, yeah, yeah, but
Bro.
yeah, yeah.
So true. That's right. Eternals came out, and Eternals wasn't my cup of tea. But I don't think it was a bad movie. I don't think it was like, oh, this
Yeah.
is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Like we've seen way worse movies. Like no, that to me again, it's to begin the show. It's reactionary. The industry is very reactionary sometimes. You have one movie, you have one bad movie. They go, you're done, you're finished. It's like, come on, man. It's like you gotta let people redeem. Again, people have bad days at the office. Not every movie could be a winner. It could be 10 out of 10. It's hard. You all have made movies too. We worked on projects before. It's making a movie is tough. Making a movie is hard. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
One bad movie should not define your career, define like your kind of stance at Hollywood. You know why? Because again, if you're making like stinkers left and right, I'd be like, all right, man, stop fucking around, or stop fucking around, man or woman, like stop fucking around, because like you can't be costing us money, man. This is our wallets we're talking about here. So I get it. Like if you're like some like really stinkers, like it's like, go ahead.
I think when it comes down to that and everything like that, I think is that you should not go from making a a $5 million movie to making a $200 film, $200 million film. Because if you do that, oh boy, like I think what you should do is literally make films with higher budgets that the studios can maybe like agree with you. And first one, the $5 million one, is like a 99, and everybody loves it, and makes more than what it was worth or whatever. That's amazing. That's great. Now you can make another one, let's say for like 30 mil or whatever, and it makes more than what the budget was given and everything like that, and you go on from there. I think that's a better way of doing things than going ahead and making a $250 whatever gazillion-dollar film basically, and everybody not liking it, because that right there is that right there will cause your career to basically go down in a drain. Hopefully not, but that will do that. And the only way to pick yourself back up and everything like that is to do all over again. Go back to the $2 million film and everything like that, and keep going from there until somebody else decides to give you another shot at another $30 million budget film. So
you honestly, Moses, thank you for bringing that up. Actually, it's a great point. You know what? You came to mind too is Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson came to mind, and here's why. He made The Brothers Bloom, and a few of the movies before that, and then he did Looper. And Looper is a great movie. Don't get me wrong, Looper is a fantastic movie. However, for a sci-fi movie, that was only a $30 million budget movie. 30 mil. That's a very, very low budget movie for a sci-fi movie like that, with Bruce Willis, who was still, at the time, still healthy, obviously, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's kind of hot at the moment at the time as well as Emily Blunt's on the rise too. You had, that was a very modestly budgeted movie. When they said he's doing Star Wars as well, I was like, again, who? And I was like, oh, guy did Looper. Okay, that makes sense. Gotcha. Okay. I was like, okay, he did pretty good. But again, Looper is a very low budget, very more practical-esque sci-fi movie than a Star Wars is. Obviously, Star Wars back in the day was a lot of practical too, when George Lucas had it, in the 70s and 80s, obviously. But I was like, oh, he's doing Star Wars. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. And I told you guys before, I think me and Joe had this conversation as well too, is that he was not ready to do Star Wars. He was not ready to do Star Wars. I think he's a great. Again, I love Knives Out. Knives Out 2, not a huge fan of, but I love Looper. I love Knives Out. He's a lot of good movies that he's made that I'm like, oh, these are really good. But he was the wrong guy to do Star Wars Episode 8. again, there's some redeeming qualities of that movie. Don't get me wrong. There's some like cool, like the Red Room fight's pretty cool, obviously. It's I like the scene between Phasma and Finn. But with that said, also get too. Ryan Johnson also did some Breaking Bad episodes, which are the best of the series. I'm just like, whoa, he did those too. But again, I don't think he was experienced enough the way J.J. Abrams was with Mission Impossible, Star Trek, Super 8, Star Trek, boom, Star Wars. Like he was prepared for that. You came off television, independent movies, and a very low sci-fi movie. You weren't ready for the big leagues, kid, with Star Wars. And also the same thing. I mean, Josh Trank, similar situation. I think he made a superhero movie that was very and also very low budget. I would maybe get maybe one more movie first and then do Fantastic Four. But Ryan Johnson, I think he was out of his league, and I think he knew that too. I mean, look how divisive Star Wars Episode 8 is. It's one of the most divisive movies ever made, ever existed.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like Johnson either should have been Johnson does 7, 8, and 9, or Abrams does 7, 8, and 9, because it kind of felt like Abrams did his movie, and then Johnson was low-key trying to undo what Abrams did, and then Abrams had to come back and kind of undo what Johnson did, and then kind of tell the story that he wanted to tell. I think different directors is kind of the reason why it just was so like fucked up, because also it seemed like y'all kind of were just making movies, but you didn't really plan an ending. It seems like y'all were just making it up as you go along, and that was like the biggest mistake. So again, like it either should have been like one director for all three movies or the other director for all three movies, or at the very least just like know where you want the story to end.
Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. So we also have to remember that production and fans do come into play sometimes during downfalls of movies, even though they'll never admit it. Production, especially, because the thing about about people is that they'll see a movie and if they don't like it, or they'll tell others, and that's surprising. Some people don't even see the movie from word to mouth, and then some people just watch a trailer and they don't want to see a movie, and then they'll tell other people like, oh, it's just a shit movie, this and that, without even fully seeing it. Yes. And then and then you gotta think about the Justice League movie. Production came in and stepped in and didn't let the real film come out, and like Suicide Squad and other films, like they want to step in, they'll be like, we know better, we think better, and then the movie will flop, but the director takes the hit.
Yeah, no, that's also very true as well. Very true as well. I do think, I believe this too. I think there are a lot of good filmmakers that if they were given maybe longer time, like again, if Ryan Johnson did another movie like Moses said too, like if he did a movie that was 60 mil, 40 mil, 30 mil too, whatever, after Looper, and they did Star Wars, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure, I can see it. Like again, look at Denis Villeneuve, but he did low budget movies. Prisoners, $30 million budget movie, 40, very low budget. Sicario, also very low budget too. Arrival was also very modestly budget to a degree. And then Break My Heart, my beloved Later on 2049, that I love so with my heart, was a huge budget. But again, no one saw it because it was still the era of like, where's the action at? And the movie's a very slow burn as well, a very slow burn with a lot of like more kind of like beautiful shots and very noir filmed. But no one was like, where the action at? Where the action at? It's like, well, there's action. You got to give it time, but no one wanted to see that. And I look at Dune. He's the perfect guy to do Dune, as he was for Blade Runner 2049 as well. You got to give people their time first. And like, oh, he's the next big guy. Let's get him. Let's doing the thing. It's like, no. Again, it's thinking about it earlier. Reactionary. Oh, this kid's the next big thing. Let's give him the movie, and then it flops. Like, oh, it failed. And that's to your point too, Joe. A lot of interference, a lot of kind of just like a lot of pressure. Obviously, it happens for sure. But there are a lot of filmmakers I feel like that are very just like they're not experienced at. Again, said I do think that also Nick, you made a good point too about Star Wars. There was no plan to begin with. There was no plan to begin with. And like I said too multiple times on this podcast, Kathleen Kennedy is very reactionary to everything that happens. Oh, it didn't work, they're fired. Oh, it didn't work, you're fired. It's like chill. Trust your filmmakers. Don't interfere as much because she interferes with everything that's made with Star Wars. Obviously, it's you should have Star Wars should have had a plan for sure. 1, 2, 3 had a plan. Was map it out. Was pull Kevin Feige. Was map it out. We'll have a 1, 2, 3. Obviously, Force Awakens came out. Oh, let's do it. People hated for it. People hated. People loved episode 8. People hated. People loved episode 9. It was just kind of like it was so reactionary. It was just like Jesus. You don't react to all this stuff. But again, you gotta give filmmakers their time to really kind of like be comfortable with their style of filmmaking, and to Moses' point, be comfortable with that feeling of able to manage a big budget movie like Chloe Zhao. Like you said too, Moses, you can't go off of a $5 million Hulu movie, Nomadland, and do this $200 million plus ensemble, epic for Marvel. That's a lot of pressure. And again, it didn't do well, but I don't blame her as much because again, that's a lot. That's a lot to take on for a newer director. It definitely is. That's why I kind of like Edgar Wright. Like Edgar Wright kind of sneaks in his wheelhouse of these movies. I was kind of like budget. Like, hey, this is my budget. This is my budget. This is my budget. There it is. Or like, I think Jordan Peele now was showing that he can do bigger budget movies. Like he proved it with Get Out. Budget got higher for Us. He got bigger for Nope. And I assume the next movie will probably be even bigger because he's now establishing himself as Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig from Lady Bird, Little Woman, now it's a Barbie. The biggest movie now in Warner Brothers history. You gotta give people their time to really kind of become their right filmmaker. So again, it's trusting your filmmaker, but also don't rush into anything. Don't give someone again. We all want to get experience too on filmmaking and anything in entertainment, writing, or whatever. But you can't force a good thing because it has to happen naturally as well, and time has to grow into that role as well. That's how I kind of believe it as well. With that said, the two I'm gonna go with, I was kind of going back and forth a little bit too. But I actually went for an honorable mention because me and Joe saw him at the Straight Outta Compton screening back in 10 years ago, whatever. F. Gary Gray to me is a very underrated director. I think he makes some quick honorable mention. I think Straight Outta Compton, Friday, The Italian Job, which is a great remake if you ask me. I mean, list goes on and on. I think F. Gary Gray, F8, which again I don't love as much, but I still have fun with it. F. Gary Gray to me really kind of like shows like wow, like how much of a director you can become by starting off with a really low budget movie starring a hot comedian at the time and a hot rapper at that time with Friday, and then work your way up to Straight Outta Compton, but then Fast and Furious. And what I heard too also is that the studio interfered with Men in Black movie too. That he was just like, yeah, this shit was ass, and like he made it like this is not my movie. Like the studio interfered with his Men in Black movie because again,
yeah, that shit was pretty garbage, man.
Shit was garbage, bro. And I was like, yep. And I was like, wow, I love Tessa Thompson. I love Chris Hemsworth. I love F. Gary Gray. What in the fuck was that? What in the fuck? I was like, this movie is trash. Trash. But again, there's a lot of movies where I'm like, wow, F. Gary Gray did that. Like, set it off. The Negotiator. List goes on and on. I mean, really, again, Italian Job. I watched it the first time on Netflix a month ago. I told Joel, this movie's 20 years old. I slept on this movie. This movie's fucking awesome. Or Be Cool is a good one. Law Abiding Citizen. The Italian Job.
Oh yeah, you really did.
Mark Wahlberg, Edward Norton, Mos Def, Jason Statham, Charlize Theron, Seth Green. It's a great movie. I was watching it and I was like, wow, shame on me. I slept on this movie. Huge. But again, Shrek Common is one of my favorite biopics, my favorite movies of the past 10 years too. I love that movie so much. I think it's very underrated. Again, a quick honorable mention. The two I'm gonna go with is also, again, I'm gonna go with David Ayer. And the reason why I think I absolutely get, also, remember, he's the guy who wrote Training Day as well. I think he's a great writer. I think he knows characters really well. If you haven't seen End of Watch, it's a remarkable, no budget movie. Literally no budget. There was no budget for that movie whatsoever. But the way he's able to capture street violence, LAPD, which is notorious for being one of the most, violent, one of the most corrupt, one of the most dangerous, law enforcement units in the world, it's within the country, but it shows two actually good cops kind of like doing their job and what they have to go through. And the brotherhood between Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena is beautiful. It's a really beautiful story. but it was again coming out during the mockumentary thing. We saw it with Chronicle again. We saw it with Paranormal Activity. We saw it with Project X. It was that kind of era of like it was coming back. It was coming back and it was working. And then they fucking milked that shit. And it was like, God, this is dead again. But it was working to a degree. But he's really good at making characters very kind of like relatable. Also kind of like showing like their emotion and showing rage as well. Like he can show people from happy, sad, confused, happy, sad, angry, rageful, everything, confused. The list goes on and on. And I love the movie so much. Also stuff like, Fury. Fury is a really good war movie because it's about survival. And it's about, because I think there's also a vet himself. Grew up in the streets of LA as well. He knows how to really make stories about just kind of like, people as units and bonded stuff like that. And again, you go back again, Train Day again, it was a script that he said that everyone loved, and it was kind of finding the right person. I think Antoine Fuqua directed the hell of that movie to a degree. But that script is very, very it's a remarkable script, you ask me. Again, Denzel makes it what it is as Ethan Hawke. But that movie just to me is just awesome. So again, as on the last episode too, if you watch the interview with him and John Berthal, that he was coming off of win with Fury. Everyone loved Fury, and then Suicide Squad, he's doing it. Like everyone was like involved. It was like, again, it was a good process. It was all rehearsal. Everyone was into it. Same thing. It was like, and the studio took it away from him because how Guardians of the Galaxy and how Deadpool did and how poorly BVS did with the critics and the box office. Again, reactionary. There's a pattern here. If you heard this episode, there's a pattern, there's a trend here. Reactionary. So that to me, I hope he has a good comeback. Because I think me and Joe talk about all the time too. I think Bright's a very underrated movie too. I think Bright came out, people are like, oh, it's got to do Suicide Squad, man. Fuck this dude. And so I got to give it a chance. And I think Bright has its flaws. Don't get me wrong, it's flaws. But it's a very original movie. And I think, too, that he also works really well with kind of like grounded storytelling with also big spectacle, like a Snyder, if you ask me. And, it's sad that Bright didn't do as well on Netflix, unfortunately. But again, I hope there's an audience for it down the road. I hope Air has kind of good comeback with his next movie, as well as giving him the option to, release his Air cut. So, number 2. Number 1 to me against Antoine Fuqua. No. I have 2 more actually. Sorry, I'm going on rambling. 2 is Antoine Fuqua, real quick. Antoine Fuqua because he makes remarkable movies, great action movies that I feel like no one talks about really. Again, it's Equalizer because of Denzel. It's Train Day because of Denzel and Ethan Hawke. But like the filmmaker Fuqua is just remarkable. Stuff like Training Day, stuff like Mag 7, stuff like Southpaw. He really makes these amazing movies about characters and larger than life situations. And redemption, revenge, deep, like what are you willing to do to make sure you get back, like a shooter, like I did me dirty, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Southpaw, my wife was killed in front of me. How do I make a comeback and be better than ever? Mag 7, he made a cool western when westerns were dead. Like no one wanted to make a western. He made it with like ensemble cast, a great cast. And a great spectacle. And he made it a really cool western that we haven't seen in a long time or ever, if you ask me. So that's number 2 is for Antoine Fuqua. Number 1 to me is one of my filmmakers of all time is Richard Linklater. Linklater to me is a remarkable director because he makes such grounded stories that you can relate to no matter who you are or where you are in the world, whether it's Dazed and Confused, Everybody Wants Them, Boyhood, the Before Sunrise, Sunset, Midnight trilogy. He makes these beautiful human stories that I feel like are very lost nowadays in filmmaking. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great filmmakers that make stories about, certain points in your life. I think Linklater really makes stories about like any points of life, whether you're in high school, like Days, you're in college, Everybody Wants Some. Growing up, it's Boyhood really. And how complicated love can be. We all know how complicated love can be, obviously. And the Before trilogy really kind of shows of like, wow, like this is like errors in different people's life. You might love someone, but do you really love them? Is love still there? How do you know? And I don't know. I think, or Adolescence, School of Rock. Again, people get School of Rock, which is one of the best Jack Black movies ever made. He knows comedy very well, but he knows human emotion, human connection, and telling stories that are really relatable, really grounded. I feel like people kind of like want to see that a lot because it's like, oh yeah, I can be this person. Why watch Days Confused? I see myself in this person, or Everybody Wants Them. I see myself in that person, or Boyhood. I see myself as a boy growing up, obviously. So it's really cool to see stories that he can relate to and that are very grounded. Also, I think the guy he also again beat the odds of Hollywood, where he hated living in Los Angeles, he hated being in Hollywood, but he was able to make his own. He was a self-made guy out of Austin, and he's still Austin to this day. His company is out there. He's still making all his movies out of Austin. He knows that, like, again, it's, I think, to me, because of COVID and everything too, but what he did was very kind of like inspirational to a lot of us, because he was able to make his own way by being himself in his hometown, and also kind of like, yes, cool, Hollywood, New York is where you gotta be, but not necessarily. Sometimes you can do your own thing. I think now we're seeing, because of post-COVID too, is that you can make a lot of great things from your phone, from your MacBook or whatever. So I think dude's inspiration to me. I love all his movies, love all his scripts. So to me, number one, to me, his most underrated director is Richard Linklater, and I can't wait to see his new movie, Hitman. I heard it premiered really good at the Venice Film Festival. Can't wait to see it. Again, big sucker for his movies, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next. But Joe, should we still do our one-on-ones? I think that's too many recommendations tonight.
Honestly, I think we'll be good. People could just look up the directors we said. Check out their movies. I think that would be a good idea.
All right, my friend, take us home.
All right. Well, then, before I log us out, how about we all, plug ourselves first? How about you, Nick?
So you can find me on YouTube at Dawning Vision. That's capital D, capital V, and on Instagram at all lowercase Dawning Vision, and anywhere that you can find podcasts.
Moses?
You can find me on IG, at Moses Lowy, _ I think. I'm not really on it as much, but you can also find me on Threads a little bit. I'm on there here and there sometimes. It's same thing, Moses Lowy _ So.
All right, Doug.
Actually, Moses, where can they find your behind the scenes of your next movie?
It's gonna be on. There's also like a link to my Instagram, and it's also as the day goes by, film on IG too as well. You can find behind the scenes there and everything, and updates to festivals, premieres, and everything in that nature. So
Can't wait to see it. Yeah, guys, you can find me as always on Instagram at The Young Jones. I also am on Twitter, or now it's called X. I still call it Twitter. At Capri _SON. You can find the show at Midway Avenue Productions, both on Instagram and TikTok. I'm trying to do more TikToks, gotta get them more following, more viewers for the show. And our YouTube page obviously is youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions, and we have a website that's still kind of under construction. I'm still kind of editing it here and there, which is midwayavenueproductions.com. You can find all our information, our quick little bio, stuff like that. So follow us over there.
All right, and you guys can find me on twitch.tv at the OG Cuban Rican. I'm streaming as much as I can. Started streaming Starfield, that came out a few days ago. A few other games will be coming out this month, so I'll be streaming those as well. And please do follow us on any of the podcast sites and apps that you are listening to us on, and do not be afraid to leave a comment on our Instagram, because we would love to know your thoughts and feelings about our show or what we said and everything. All right, well, thank you guys so much, guys and girls and women and men and people in general. Thank you guys so much for joining us on our verbal journey through our thoughts, opinions, views, and crazy ramblings of our passion and love for film, actors, directors, TV, and the entertainment industry in general. Hope you join us again for our next episode. Please have a safe day, evening, afternoon, night. Love you. Hug somebody, and deuces.